Record, and it looks like it's settling out. So, good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining the lovely Ashley Allgyer and myself as we talk through one of the most exciting topics in today's world for sure. I want to make it a active conversation. So I saw there's people from all over the country on the call. So in the chat below, either in the just general chat or just straight to Ashley and myself, I'd love for those of you who are currently dabbling in AI a little bit, those of you that think that you're kind of users of it to some extent, to drop a quick note and let us know if you're a part of the revolution yet. And then also if you're not, I'd really like to kind of get a little bit of a lay of the land on where we are right now and see where everybody is and where you're coming from as we get going. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. So welcome to season 1, episode 1. We'll talk a little bit why in a minute. This is episode 1 because there's a few more to come of the AI-empowered title agent. We're really excited to be bringing a series that I think is a little bit different than anything you've seen across the title industry as of yet. One of the things that I've noticed is, yes, we're having a lot of conversations about AI and about its practical uses and what could be done with it, but I think they're pretty fragmented. And so what I mean by that is it seems like we talk about lots of different technologies and solutions, but we don't really kind of bring them home together, pertinent and specific to the title industry alone. We talk about a lot of things that would work for plenty of industries, but we haven't gotten super specific about the title space. So what we did here is a bunch of us sat around and decided, you know what, let's create something that is 100% specific to the title space and will be helpful for those of us that function in this space, not just kind of broad generalizations and broad general strategies that would be good for anybody. And so I started looking around to see if there was something very title specific. There's been some great reports put out by October Research, put out by our friends at Qualia and some other places. But at the end of the day, I did not see a singular resource that a title agent could go to find out some tips, tricks, and softwares that would be pertinent to them specifically. So the goal of this is to be able to bring you those things. I think there's a couple quick things to think about. I truly believe that technology and artificial intelligence in general has really leveled the playing field. Whether you're a mom and pop shop somewhere on the South Shore of Massachusetts, or you're a massive kind of national company, technology has leveled that playing field and the opportunities to create incredible customer service, to create a streamlined process, and to create a system that we can replicate over and over and over again, therefore allowing us to create wonderful experiences for our clients and customers. But if we want to become big, I really think we need to start thinking big. And one of my favorite statistics, you've heard me say it before, is that 86% of CEOs say that AI is a mainstay of the future of their business, not just something that they use, not just something that's helpful for streamlining or for operational efficiencies, but an actual mainstay of their business. And I think there's something that we could learn there from those Fortune 500 CEOs. I hear a lot of people say this quote. If you've ever talked to anybody about AI or gone to an AI presentation anywhere around the country, you've probably heard somebody say this. This came from an MIT and Harvard Business Journal article about 2 years ago. And the point is that AI will not take your job, but people who do use AI may do that. So I'm not super afraid of AI coming in and just absolutely eliminating everybody's positions. What I am seeing is an opportunity to start using something relatively early in our industry, make yourself and your productivity even more robust, and therefore be in a great place as we move into the future. So I truly don't believe AI will be taking our jobs, but I think people who use it may do that.
So here's another one from a Harvard study. Workforce gains 40% performance boost from GPT-4. So that's basically OpenAI's ChatGPT, showing that 40% boost just from using it in a variety of ways. And I think we've also heard AI be used as an acronym also could be army of interns, right? So think about what you could do if you had that army of interns working with you and being able to work on all the things you feel like you don't have time for. The tools that we're going to show you throughout this series can certainly help you get that boost as well. So very excited for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I get excited when I think of it more as finding the highest and best use for everyone in an organization by using AI to make your processes a little more streamlined and a little more simple for people to accomplish. So I love that statistic.
So what really matters here with our AI empowered title agent series, we wanted to take a look at other areas of everyone's businesses and not just marketing. Because a lot of times when you see AI presentations, it's very marketing focused with just the different things you can do marketing wise. And there are a ton, and we are going to touch on those. But we also didn't want to forget about sales, which we'll talk about today specifically. Operations, your workflow, streamlining everything you're doing throughout your everyday files. Customer experience, what's differentiating you out in the marketplace, and how can you use AI to create that truly amazing customer experience that people aren't going to forget. And then, of course, back office things such as talent development for your staff, human resources. So throughout this series, we're going to take a look at each one of these bullet points and really dive into tools specifically that we've done some research on and have seen success with that can help you in each of these areas. So these are kind of the ones we're going to focus on throughout these couple of webinars.
Awesome. Absolutely. So I want to talk about something that I think is kind of the reason why some of us haven't really adopted new technologies in general, or kind of afraid of change in general, and especially AI, right? There's a lot of misconceptions about what it is, what it will become. We hear this term AGI, or artificial general intelligence, meaning that we're getting close to having an AI that will encompass the knowledge of every human that's ever existed, which is like totally overwhelming. But when we lead with fear, nothing great comes from that. But it's something that we all have in common, right? Like change is the thing that most of us are most afraid of. Public speaking, more people are afraid of public speaking than they are death, right? Like there's all these fears that we share kind of cumulatively. And as we live in this kind of general anxiety globally right now, there's a lot going on in the world. I was watching the news this morning. Every day it seems like there's more and more happening around the world. That said, the interesting thing about fear, and I heard this quote recently and it just really struck home to me, is that fear is often a mile wide, but only an inch deep. And so when we look at this river, it may seem totally overwhelming in front of us. We're afraid to take that first step. But when we take that first step, we realize it's only an inch deep and we're like, maybe we can do this. And then we take that second and that third and that fourth step. And all of a sudden, we're in the middle of the river and we know we're going to be okay. It doesn't mean we're not going to get a little wet, but it means everything's going to be okay. So if you've been a little hesitant about getting into the AI space because of some type of fear or trepidation, just know that we're all in this together. And there's a lot of incredible opportunities that can not only make our jobs more fun, can make the product that we provide to our clients and customers better, but it can also give us back a little bit of our number one resource, I firmly believe, and that's time. Right. So I talk about in general this idea that, what if you didn't have to stay after 5 o'clock when the refi boom starts, or when the market continues to pick up, which it's hopefully going to continue to do with another 50 basis points by the end of the year, which will affect that. What if you didn't have to come in on a Saturday? What if your team was able to take lunch and go spend some time with the people they care about most outside of work, and then have that positive life experience that's happening bleed into the workplace, which makes a better work environment, culture, and a better product for our clients and customers? So we all have a little bit of trepidation and fear about new things, but I think this is something that we're all in together, and it should be something that's more exciting and invigorating than concerning, in my opinion, for sure.
Love that. Couldn't agree more with that. So again, today we're going to be focusing specifically on the AI tools for sales, and then we'll keep building on that as these webinars continue. So just a couple of bullet points to get us started on what we see as the practical sales uses specifically for AI. So some of those include prospect outreach and scripting those conversations before you go into those meetings, recapping the meetings that you have once you're out of them, developing a sales campaign. I know a lot of you probably don't really have a huge sales campaign drawn out in the beginning of the year of what you're going to do, but AI can help you do that. Accelerating conversations and getting into the phones of those you want to do business with quicker. General brainstorming of ideas, analyzing data that's found on spreadsheets, summarizing text that might be in super long articles, refining existing ideas that you just kind of want to play around with, and then help with those follow-up emails to keep the conversations going in your sales process.
Yeah, a bunch of great uses. So we want to share with you a living document that we've been working on, and a lot of this series will be based on this. Just like everything else in AI, it's changing almost daily, but foundationally, like Ashley spoke about, we broke it down into sales, marketing, operations, customer experience, and talent dev and HR. So today we're going to be going through the sales portion. Next session in November, and we'll give you the date at the end here, we're going to be talking a little bit about the operations and customer experience, as many of you are starting to shape your budget for 2025. We wanted to make sure to bring you some of that stuff ahead of time. So you'll get a copy of all this stuff. Don't feel the need to take a screen grab. This is definitely a living document. So we may change these things up as we go through the series. But we're really excited to be not only releasing this, but also a website, AI-empoweredtitleagent.com. There will be an exclusive benefit to FNF agents where you'll have your own login. You'll be able to log in and go through things like testimonials, training videos, product surveys and endorsements, or product surveys rather, and all kinds of different things meant to help grow, streamline, and make your business more effective into 2025 using AI. So we're really excited about that site. It's mostly baked out. You'll be able to find links to all of the webinars and lots of micro content on how-to videos for every one of the AI softwares and platforms that we talk about. So here's a little bit about what to expect over the next few weeks. This is going to be a 4-part webinar series. We'll release the date for the November series immediately following today's. And each of them is going to be focused on those. And again, the how-to guides is going to be a big thing for me. Anything that I can watch in 4 or 5 minutes that gives me a kind of base layer on what a product is, how I could use it. But remember, all of this is going to be specific to title. So it's not going to be broad general things as if you're a retail store, a shoe shop, or a doctor's office. It will be specific to you as a title agent. And I really believe this is going to be a go-to resource for all of our FNF agents to be able to find out what's going on in the AI world that impacts our industry specifically. So again, AI-empoweredtitleagent.com is the website, and we'll be releasing that after the following session once we have a few of the recordings coming up, and each of you will have a password that allows you to get behind the gated area to that website. We're really, really excited about it. So Ashley, what do you say we get started, and let's get started with Agent Brief.
All right, sounds awesome. Thanks, Sam. So yeah, 4 tools today. First one we're going to talk about is Agent Brief. Some of you might have heard about this one before. I know we offered a webinar earlier this year, hour-long. So if you're interested in learning more than just this short recap, we can certainly hook you up with that. But essentially what Agent Brief is a prospecting tool for title agents. You can access data on the past 12 months of buy side and list side for realtors. So you can see details on their transactions, where they've sent their transactions, which title companies. And so we'll show you some screenshots in a few. But so basically it prides itself as the fastest data in the industry. It does update every 15 minutes, pulling from several MLS sources. It is an easy to navigate platform, which you'll see shortly. It's clean and simple to basically find real estate agents, monitor their key transactional events, and then engage them. So that's where I'll show you the AI component comes in. And it is using, when you're engaging, your native device. So we'll talk more about that in a second. So let's check it out, what it looks like. So I just pulled a couple of screenshots. These are basically the 4 main screens that you'll see as part of the app. On the home screen, which is the first screenshot there, you can search for realtors by either their county and state in general. You can get a big list. Or if you want to go more micro, you can search by directly the agent's name or the brokerage to find just those coming up in that search. There's a couple of different filters you can pull. But as you'll see on that screen, it gives you summary information of their listings, their buy side, and their production over the last 12 months. If you were to click into the agent, you can see details of every one of those transactions over the last 12 months. So some really interesting data. And there's even, as you see at the top right of that one, an export button. So you could get all of that into a CSV file if you wanted to analyze it a bit further. When you click on one of the agents listed, the second screenshot there shows how it gives you their, well, like I said, it gives you more details of their transactions, but it also gives you their confirmed email and phone number. And then a really cool pie chart, which shows which title companies they've been working with to send their transactions and what % of those deals are being sent to each one. So if you find a realtor who has a lot of pieces of the pie, there's definitely opportunity for them to give some to you if you're looking to grow your business and get more of their buyers referred. So that's pretty cool. Then on the follows, so this then turns into kind of like a social media platform. You can choose different real estate agents to follow and then get updates on their transactions as they change. So you can either follow directly people, or as you see, you can also follow zip codes in general if you're interested in just getting activity alerts on a broad zip code basis. And then on the followed agent activity, this is where you'll see the activities that are coming in. And again, this updates every 15 minutes, every time there's a new listing, a new open house, a change in the listing status, or when the transaction has closed out. So those are the different types of alerts that you'll get. And here's where the AI part comes in. So there's a Get AI Script button. Since this is a battle for conversations in the market, this puts at your fingertips an easy way to immediately respond to one of those activity alerts. So this is integrated with ChatGPT, and it basically lets you, whether they're a new prospect or a known agent, you can choose that. It gets you a blurb that you can immediately get to their phone or their email with a little message saying that you'd love to help out. Let me know if you need anything to help with this new open house. Same thing if they just have a new listing in general. It lets you change the tone if you want it to be casual, visionary, funny. And then once you choose to send via email or send via text, you can of course edit what it says if you're not really into the whole thing, or you can leave it as it is and it sends directly from your email or your text. So it's not going to be a spammy looking email address. It'll be, whatever you use, Gmail or Outlook, it'll come just, from you as normal. So just an easy way to start conversations very quickly and stay up to date as the market is moving so quickly these days. So I think that's everything I wanted to tell you about Agent Brief. And then the last slide just has some info on pricing. So for FNF agents, we were able to get a pretty amazing deal. It's currently at $69 per user per month. Retails at about $145 a month. So this is quite a good deal. And if you're interested in also getting lender data, that can be added too, which I believe is just another $20 per month. So we do have a QR code if you want to book a demo to learn more. But I think it's a pretty cool one and definitely has that AI feature that can get you into everyone's phones quicker.
Absolutely. I mean, it just checks so many boxes. One, getting accurate, timely data, being able to start conversations when it matters most, which is right when things happen. If you've ever tried to get a quote for auto insurance or home insurance, you'll notice that you get calls, which can be kind of annoying because there's 100 of them in like 20 seconds they start ringing, but it's because they know that now is the time to act. So when your clients or customers list a new open house, have a new listing, have a listing change status, maybe going to pending, or have a listing close, it's really important to have those conversations right then. And realtors are used to that, right? Realtors are used to getting leads for their business. And if they don't call that lead within 30 seconds, oftentimes it will go to the next realtor. They know that time is of the essence. And so I think this is a really powerful tool. And one thing I wanted to say about Agent Brief before we move on too, is that a lot of people ask about real estate data. Agent Brief is absolutely directionally correct. Is it possible to have perfect real estate data? No. It could be something as simple as the title company didn't wet their stamp enough when they filed a deed, and so the scanners don't pick it up, and so it wouldn't recognize where it closed. Or maybe somebody didn't put something in the MLS in the appropriate time, which is a whole nother conversation. But there's lots of variable factors that could mean that the data is not 100% complete, and it never will be. The point is to be directionally correct and have pertinent conversations when it matters most. And I'm a huge fan of Agent Brief, so thanks so much for sharing that with us. So, as the resident creeper, my job is to talk about Crystal today. So speaking of creeping, Crystal is a really incredible tool meant to create more valuable and engaging conversations. So if you've ever heard of Crystal Knows, it's a product that's been around for a little while, but over the last 6 to 8 months, probably, they have turned it into something really, really incredible. So I want to show you Crystal today. So I firmly believe we live in a day and age of CRMs. And so we're literally counting conversations in our businesses. How many realtors did we talk to? How many clients did we talk to? How many meetings did we have? How many cookies did we drop off? How many webinars did we do? We're literally counting these conversations. I firmly believe we need to stop counting these conversations and really start making these conversations count. And I actually have a little bonus at the end of this one that I think lends itself to that as well. But kind of get your mindset in, getting away from this idea of CRMs and counting every single conversation and tallying them up at the end of the month to prove to somebody how many talks we had, and start thinking about having really valuable conversations from the get-go. So as not to expose or embarrass anybody else, I went ahead and used Crystal to do a little bit of recon on myself. So it's as simple as going to the website, which I'll give you in just a second, and entering in a person's name and information. It'll ask you a little bit about them. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you can enter that link, and it makes it a little bit easier. But basically, I searched myself on Crystal, and the whole idea here is to be able to find out a little bit about a specific person. Maybe it's a target that you haven't quite been able to connect with before. Maybe it's someone you've connected with and really haven't been able to have as fruitful or successful as a conversation. So I want to tell you a little bit about what it discovered about me. And those of you that know me and that have been on webinars can probably judge for yourself whether or not some of these things are pretty accurate or not. So you enter in the person, it says, I'm likely to be comfortable delivering important messages verbally or communicating a bold vision. It sees me as pioneering, adventurous, and casual. Definitely casual. My shirt is untucked, but I do have jeans on today instead of shorts, just for those of you wondering. So if you're familiar with a DISC profile or you've ever taken a DISC assessment, this is basically what that does. And it says that I'm most likely to be assured, expressive, inventive. I might challenge old ways of thinking. Hence, we're sitting here talking about the evolution and revolution of AI. I have a tendency, though, to maybe be over optimistic about timelines when planning, and Ashley could probably attest to that, right? But it puts me here kind of in the ID area. On the actual DISC profile, I'm a little bit higher up here, but it absolutely has tagged me in the right area, which I think is really incredible. It's going to tell you a little bit about this person's personality traits. Are they risk tolerant or averse? Are they kind of skeptical or trusting, optimistic, maybe a little more pragmatic? And it will kind of layer them out. It says that I'm kind of in the middle on this, a little bit more optimistic, a little heavy on the trusting and risk tolerance, with there's certain people that probably wish I wasn't as tolerant as on risk. But here's when it really starts to dial in a powerful way. So again, picture being able to share a product like this with your sales team so that they can do a little recon on some of the people they're going to be meeting with ahead of time to make sure those conversations are very engaging. So my behavior, I'm probably going to say something sarcastic. I make decisions with my gut instinct. Sometimes I ignore existing rules and processes. Definitely something I've fallen victim to in the past and gotten in a little trouble for. I get bored easily, right? I always joke about squirreling out. I'm a little ADD. What are my energizers? What gets me excited as a person? Storytelling, exploration, fun, public speaking. This is when it really started to creep me out how spot on this really was. What are the drainers on me? What would be the drainers on this person? So what would you avoid if you're going into a meeting with them? Overly factual, kind of lackluster, boring talks, using way too much caution. I don't like feeling micromanaged. I know when I was really blessed and honored to become a part of the FNF family of companies, the conversation I had with Rich Canan was I had this little bit of a fear of being micromanaged. And so it's amazing how much, and it has definitely not been like that, and it's been wonderful. But this knew that about me ahead of time. I'm not a huge fan of rigid schedules. I like to be able to reach out to somebody kind of on a whim and start a conversation when it works best for best of us. What are some of the strengths? Vivid, compelling stories, being able to take action with limited information, actively engaging, searching opportunities to grow. What are my blind spots? This is where I really had to kind of look in the mirror and realize some of the things that I probably need to work on. Maybe I prioritize excitement at the expense of security from time to time in my life. Maybe I get a little impatient when I'm being provided or when I'm providing super detailed information. Could be a little overly idealistic. I may trust my instinct intuition, and maybe I should look a little bit more sometimes at data and logic. It's really amazing how it can dial in on somebody. So here is where it gets really powerful for a sales professional. What would you need to do to make a great first impression with somebody with my personality type? Show a sense of humor. Use visual aids. You know, if somebody walks into my office and has 100 pages of black and white documents stacked, when they walk in there, I'm already like overwhelmed with this conversation and not looking forward to it. So this is spot on. Use some surprises maybe to get my attention. Share a personal experience. If you've been on a lot of my webinars, I tell a lot of stories about things that I've done to make it relatable into the things that we're talking about. How do you build trust with somebody like me? Switch up the subject, be enthusiastic and energetic, listen and engage. And again, use visual aids when possible. So I don't know what this thing is saying about me, but apparently, like, I'm a picture book kind of guy. And I guess that's okay, but it really is recognizing my personality type. How, if I was your potential prospect or client, how would you get me to take action? How would you get me to commit to working with your title company? Keep the agenda kind of open-minded. Mention why we're excited to have this meeting. Send a calendar invite immediately. Ashley, again, knows this. If we put something on the calendar, I don't care if it's a placeholder or the actual link for a meeting, but let's get it on the calendar immediately. I live and die by it, and it really picked up on that. Be spontaneous, perhaps even offering to meet immediately. Oftentimes, when we start a conversation with a client or customer, they respond. Maybe we use something like Agent Brief to reach out. Hey, Ashley, congratulations on your new listing at 2028 Bob Hope. Love to work with you on that. If there's anything I can do, let me know. And if the person responded, actually, there is something you can do, how often would we be like, well, hey, why don't we meet next Monday? No, for this personality type, it's like, hey, you know what? I know your office is 15 minutes away. There's a Starbucks in between. Why don't we meet there in 20 minutes? This personality type is the type that would appreciate that type of activity. And then following up with somebody like this multiple times from multiple mediums. This part is really impressive because I'm a huge fan of people reaching out to me and connecting in different ways. Yes, you can email, text me, or call me. But in today's world, people are DMing me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and it's business related, right? So don't just stick to the typical mediums. Stay lighthearted, appeal to the excitement that we had at the beginning. And this last one is really impressive. Ask until you get a clear answer. So often we make the ask for a client and customer, and they're kind of a little, wishy-washy, and we're not sure what their response is going to be. And we kind of let it sit too long, and we just kind of let it simmer a little bit. For my personality type, until I give you yes or no, keep asking. And so it's pretty amazing how it broke down to that level. So you can do this up to 5 times a month, I believe, for free. So it's pretty incredible. Or for $50 a month, it's basically unlimited, which is, it's like 200 credits, which if you're creeping on 200 people, like, wow, you got too much time on your hands. But it's a really powerful way to get our salespeople super engaged with clients and customers and figure out how to best communicate with them. We live in a world where we often get put in a box. We are told how we're going to be communicated with. We are told how the process is going to go. When we start to shift our business into asking our clients and customers in what ways they best would like to be communicated with, things change dramatically. And when you go into a conversation with something like this, already knowing how to handle this personality and the best ways to create an engaging, confident relationship, it's pretty amazing the things that will happen. So that is Crystal, and it's crystalknows.io, I believe. And my little bonus here was I recently bought a device. I'm, again, a firm believer in making conversations count and not counting them. If you're like me, one of my biggest problems is I'll sit there during a meeting and take a bunch of notes because I'm trying to do a good job. What we find ourselves doing when we're writing a bunch of notes in a meeting is we're not paying attention to the meeting, right? We're just trying to keep up with notes so that we make sure we walk away with everything. The Plod device is something that I got recently. And again, just to kind of say it, none of these products and services or anything that are, necessarily gone through. There's a few that have, but most of them haven't gone through like vendor services and all that stuff at Fidelity National Financial. They're things that Ashley, myself, Megan, and Casey have seen out in the marketplace and think are really cool and just wanted to share with you. So I just wanted to give that little disclaimer to make the lawyers happy. So there it was. But the Plod device is something that is basically a 2024 version of a micro cassette recorder. You tap this button once, it listens to your meeting or your phone call, depending on where you are. And again, check yourself before you wreck yourself with recording conversations. I know, make the lawyers happy. There you go. But it gives you a summary of that meeting, including exactly what was said, who said it, what are the follow-up items, what are the action items, when are those things due to be delivered, and it summarizes that conversation really nicely. Every time I whip this thing out and I toss it on the table and I tell somebody, hey, I'm going to really be engaged in this conversation, but I want to make sure I can serve you best. So if you don't mind, I'm going to record this and then I'll send you follow-up based on that. One, it starts a conversation because they ask me what the heck it is, which is cool. 2, I can literally send a follow-up email succinctly summarizing everything we've discussed, including action items for the future, within 2 or 3 minutes of leaving that meeting, right? It doesn't take me driving back to the office, sitting down, hammering out an email for 30 minutes, trying to read my notes that I can't even read, that prevented me from being engaged in the conversation. It's all done for you. So picture having an executive assistant sitting next to you in every single meeting and writing an awesome summary. So the Plod device is really cool, and I just wanted to give that bonus since we were talking about having powerful and engaging conversations. So Ashley, next up, chat.
All right, ChatGPT. So I feel like most of you on this call have probably at least heard of ChatGPT by now. I think it was early last year where this really started hitting the news, and everyone was sort of trying it out a little bit on their phone. So I just wanted to walk through a couple of ways that it can truly be effective in your sales efforts. So what I'm going to do is give you 5 different prompts that you can literally copy and paste from this slide deck when we share it with you. And try it out. And I will say too, these were all done except for one of them with the totally free version of ChatGPT. So no need to buy anything unless you want to do, I'll tell you when we get to it, but just one of them. So mostly with the free version. So we're going to talk about how it can be your sales assistant, similar to the Plod device you just saw, how it can help with role playing, analyzing yourself versus your competitors, a little data analysis, and sentiment analysis, specifically analyzing your Google reviews online. So let's go to the first one on Sales Assistant. So kind of like Plod, except it's not going to record you, right? So this, what you would do with this prompt is have ChatGPT on your phone as an app, open a new thread and speak this prompt into it using the voice to text method on your keyboard. So basically say, hey chat, I'm going to use this thread going forward as my sales assistant as I travel and visit with clients. I want to be able to data dump into here for 2 to 5 minutes every time I come out of a meeting, everything that went on, the details, the people, no particular order. What I want you to do for me is take everything I give you, provide the title of the meeting, bullet points, follow-ups, go forward objectives, couple things for the CRM that might be personal details, and then finally give me 1 to 2 suggested questions that I could take to re-engage with this client based on what I shared that would take the sales conversation deeper. So let's see what ChatGPT does when we give it that prompt. So this little video, I did the prompt. I came out of my meeting. Hey chat, today I had this meeting. She's in charge of marketing for the title agency, talked about Google, talks about social media, what we can provide. This was me meeting with the title agent, but you could make this into your meeting as well. Told him everything that happened, some personal details. It gave me a title, my follow-up items, my meeting recap, everything that happened, a couple of details for the CRM, and then for me to put on my calendar later, 2 questions to start the conversation up again. Copy paste, put this in either wherever I keep track of my notes with clients, and I know everything that went on in that meeting that I could look at very quickly, easily use this to write my follow-up email. So like I said, similar to Plod, but this is you just coming out and remembering some details from your meeting to throw in here, and it creates a really nice summary for you to make all that follow-up effort so much easier. So that's how it can be a sales assistant. For role playing, basically your prompt here is help me with sales role playing. I'm in charge of business development for a title insurance agency. You are a realtor. I would like to sell my value as a title agent so that you will refer more of your buyer customers to me. And then let's see what it does with that one. So you put it in and basically chat says, got it, let's jump in. You can start when you're ready. I'll play the role of the realtor. And so I just, for an example, hi realtor, thanks for taking the time to chat. I know your buyers and sellers aren't always looped into every part of the details of a transaction. Did you know that as a customer of ABC Title, we pride ourselves in being leaders of communication, keeping all parties very involved with what's happening. And so chat will literally go back and forth with you based on what you say to help you with selling your value, whatever it may be. In this case, it was the communication aspect. But so if you're getting ready to go into a meeting with a new prospect, you can kind of test out some of the things that you find valuable and see what the potential questions that come out or see what the potential feedback might be so that you can better tailor your preparation for that conversation. So the next one is competitor analysis. So this would essentially be asking chat to compare your title company to your competitor down the street. Again, this is only going to be based on what it can find online. It's not going to necessarily know things that you might not have put online, but it could give you a good idea of what you could use as your competitive advantage over your competing title agency. So as you can see, it took in, it's compared the two companies. It's giving you a few things that you could focus on to make yourself valuable. Is it your local expertise, your customer service? Maybe it's a technology you're offering, breadth of services, involvement in the community, and maybe it's your reviews online. So it just kind of gives you a basic plan of things you could mention as your competitive advantages. And then this is the one that will cost you a little bit. You do need ChatGPT Plus, it seemed, to be able to do this, but this would be uploading a CSV file or an Excel file into Chat for it to be able to analyze for you. So for this one, I actually exported the data from Agent Brief that we previously talked about. And I said, give me the names of the top 10 realtors I should focus on pursuing based on the attached data, specifically focus on number of listings and overall production revenue over the past 12 months, and include a 6-week plan to engage with those realtors. So there's my import that I added into ChatGPT with the prompt. And then on the next screen, this is what it gave me. So it analyzed the list of hundreds of realtors, maybe thousands even. It gave me the top 10 based on what I asked for. And then check out your 6-week plan for getting engagement with those prospects. You now know you're going to do your introduction, offer some exclusive insights, maybe meet for coffee, invite to a networking event or webinar, offer that value add service, and then hopefully seal the deal and start earning that business. So really no excuse to not have a sales plan, because it just did it right for you. It gave you your prospects, and now you know what you need to do to bring that business in the door. So thought that was a pretty cool one as well. And then the last one I'll show you, so I called this sentiment analysis. So if you want to analyze your Google reviews, maybe you have a lot of reviews online and they're kind of mixed, and you want to work together with your sales and marketing team, and or if it's just yourself, that's fine too, but analyze what people are saying about you online without having to read through every single one, and focus on what you can improve on, and also what are you already doing well. So let's see what it said about this. So it searched, you can see at the top, it searched 3 different sites to get some of the reviews. So it might have not just pulled from Google, but it basically found that in this example, the title agency had really great reviews already. It had 5-star ratings across 14 reviews. Customers were generally happy with the team's professionalism, efficiency. It kind of categorized all that for you a bit further, so you can use some of those to, if you're creating promotional materials on what other people are saying. You could use some of those talking points. And then really for the areas of improvement, it didn't have much since they were all 5-star reviews, but just also gave an idea about it might be beneficial to focus on further diversifying services or offering additional education for first-time home buyers who seem to appreciate the guidance they receive. So just an easy way, if you have a lot of Google reviews or reviews out there in general, to take a look at what the summary of those are.
Awesome. Really, really cool stuff. So I'm going to talk a little bit about something that we've all used. If you're on this, you're literally using it right now, and that's Zoom. But they've released a new product recently called Revenue Accelerator, and I wanted to share it with you today. If you haven't seen it yet, there's also a new product called AI Companion. So because this is a webinar, it may not be on there, but the next time you hop on a Zoom meeting, you'll see a little, that typical AI logo. It's a couple little sparkles next to each other. You click that. And you have it enabled, you can do a summary of all of your meetings. The cool thing about that is it will take the names of the meeting attendees. It knows who's saying what, when they're saying it, and it'll do something similar to what Ashley showed you with chat or what I showed you with Plod, and give you a summary of that meeting with takeaway items and action items. But Revenue Accelerator is that to a whole nother level. So if you use Zoom as a sales team right now, you know, most of the people I talk to, luckily, thankfully, we're mostly in person in today's world, so you can actually use the Zoom app on your phone to record the conversations in person if you wanted to. But if you're still using Zoom, which most people tell me it's somewhere between 15 and 30% of their meetings are still conveniently held on Zoom, then this will absolutely work for you. So the goal of this product, as said by Zoom, is to streamline team process, increase productivity with a focus on data analysis. So this takes the emotion out of feedback, in my opinion. It's really hard to go to one of your top salespeople and say, how do you do it? sometimes some of the best salespeople there are out there, they don't even know exactly what it is that they're doing to be so successful. They are inherently great at creating engaging conversations, and so they're great at sales. It's also really hard to go to one of your struggling salespeople and say, hey, Sam, why can't you be more like Ashley, right? Like nothing good comes from that. But when you can use data that's artificially intelligence driven to be able to prove what's working, why is Ashley producing so much more than Sam is right now, and to be able to show what's actually happening there, it's amazing how powerful those conversations can be. And again, you've taken the emotion and the prospect of potentially offending somebody out of it, which is cool. So AI analyzes the recorded Zoom meeting, provides detailed analytics. It includes a summary similar to AI Companion, participant activity, and one of my favorite things is a sentiment trend. So based on the verbiage, body language, intonation, and words that someone is using, those four things, right? It's determining whether or not that person is excited or totally drained by what's being discussed in that moment. So say Ashley is presenting something to me, we just learned about my personality, and it's a ton of data, and it's just a bunch of black and white words on a screen, and she will be able to tell, the AI will be able to tell that this is not something that I was engaging with. Then she starts talking about something exciting like Zoom Revenue Accelerator. And all of a sudden, my body language changed, my intonation, the words I'm using, my voice goes up. I get excited. So it's able to see and give a sentiment rating for the things I talk about. So I mentioned being able to determine what it is that one of your top salespeople or top underwriters or whoever it might be doing to get so many conversations and so many deals in the door. This sentiment rating will actually show you the things that your clients and customers are getting excited about. So for us in that case, we start thinking about what are the products and services, what are the customer service experiences that we're providing to our clients and customers that are getting them excited. So we can go in, look at a meeting and determine what were the things that were drainers on people that they didn't seem to get excited about. Stop communicating as either that way about those, or maybe stop talking about those products altogether and start talking about the services where you see that sentiment rating really rising. It's pretty amazing. There's also, it ranks the engagement of the people on the call, it categorizes next steps, and it highlights what the good questions were. So what are the questions that you're getting asked about that particular topic? How can you prepare as a team to be able to answer those questions really robustly? It'll give you some of those tips and ideas. So this is a little bit of what it looks like on the back end. So it gives you kind of a breakdown of a meeting that we had. It gives you the conversation, and then it goes through and it gives you the participants. What was this person's talk to listen ratio? You know what? Man, Sam was talking way too much, right? So you'll know that. What was his longest spiel? In this case, Todd's longest spiel was 6 minutes and 51 seconds. Because he was leading the meeting, that's relatively normal. If he was not leading the meeting, that may seem like, okay, his longest kind of diatribe was a little bit too long. Filler words. How many of them did he have a minute? 3.34. His talk speed, you know what? 215 words a minute. It kind of puts an alert there. You're talking too quickly, Sam. It's something I've certainly never heard before. And then what was his patience? Would he sit calmly and quietly in waiting for responses, or did he feel the need to jump right in? And then it talks about the other people. How much did they speak? Obviously, I talked second most on that meeting, shocker. And so it talks about how much I spoke, somebody else that was on the meeting, and you can really kind of gauge that there. And here's the sentiment trend. And the cool thing about this is, like a lot of financial tools that you have in today's world, if you hover over these, you can actually go straight into the recording and see exactly what it was, or look at the transcript about what was being discussed. So these things here, especially whatever this and this were, whoever was on this was not interested in those things. So you could click there and be like, you know what? These are things we either need to retailor our messaging, or we maybe need to not fall victim to the Concord fallacy or like the sunk cost fallacy and just kind of give up on those things and move on from them. These things though, wow, look at the excitement in the group on those points. And again, I could just hover over that and see exactly what it was in the actual Revenue Accelerator platform. So at the end of the meeting, it gives you kind of an overview similar to AI Companion, but still very different because it gives you that engagement rating. What was the sentiment rating? This was a good meeting. People were mostly excited about what was being discussed in this meeting. Anything over 65 or so is considered a good score, kind of similar to the NPS score ratings as far as what's considered good and not. What are the prospects' takeaways, right? So I was a prospect in this meeting. I'm going to use AI Companion, ensure I follow up with Mark in the best way possible, and I don't miss any issues that Mark brings up. And I'm going to circle back with every team member later today to get their personal feedback on this. And then what were some of the good questions? Mark asked in this meeting if it was possible to create his own indicators for scoring the call. Christy wondered if all the individuals who are not performing as well are also improving. How are they going to be similar to those high performers, right? Ashley asked some questions. So it broke down what the most valuable questions were within that meeting, which to me is really powerful. So one of the other cool things about it is like I said, not only can you use it on your in actual meetings, you could open a meeting kind of like guerrilla style. You could open a meeting on your phone and just have it listen. The problem there is that you would probably lose the people. You could do that with AI Companion too. You'd probably lose the people, and you'd have to go assign conversations, which would be a pain. But you can also, for those of you that use Zoom, if you didn't realize this, Zoom also has a call function similar to Teams. So you can actually make phone calls through Zoom. It recognizes who the person is on the other end of the call or who the people are. So it could be as simple as a phone call as well. And it integrates with pretty much all the major CRMs, which is really cool, so that you're just instantly dumping exactly what happened in that meeting. What are the follow-up steps? No copy and pasting necessary, which is also really cool. And of course, it integrates with your calendar as it should. So the pricing at an enterprise level, which there is a minimum to get near this pricing. So this is not to the dollar. They're kind of negotiable on some of this stuff, but it's approximately $35 a person. It's still a little unclear right now because this was just rolled out recently. I think the ballpark for less than probably a few hundred users, frankly, is probably about $50 a person. So it definitely is an investment. But if you're looking to be able to really harness what your top salespeople are doing to assist your salespeople that maybe aren't quite there yet, this is a wonderful tool to take the emotion out of that and really see the things that your clients and customers care about, so you can dial in on those and have an even more incredible customer experience. So that is Zoom Revenue Accelerator. I promised you at the beginning of this that I would share with you 3 tools that I kind of consume on a daily basis. One of them is once a week, but on a daily basis to stay ahead of the AI trends that are coming our way. The first one is the AI Tool Report. It's everything you need to know about what's going on in the AI space, including if you happen to be a little bit of a hobbyist day trader, including some of the market impacts of that day and the previous day. But AI Tool Report is really cool. It gives you 5 or 6 brand new tools every single day. And I love it. Futurepedia is the largest AI directory on the internet. And the cool thing about this is it's updated every day. Futurepedia, you go in, search a task. So what is something that you wish you had an army of interns to do for you, as Ashley said? Whatever that task might be, and it will list out all the AI tools that could help you accomplish that task. And if you're like me and you like free things, if it's free, it's para me. Another cool thing is it categorizes it by paid, freemium, and absolutely free, which is kind of cool. And then the last one that I read that comes out once a week is a sister publication to the Morning Brew. If you're a fan of the Morning Brew, I certainly am. I got my free t-shirt and joggers at one point because I referred so many people to it a few years ago. But that is the Tech Brew. It comes out once a week. It's a tech-centric one, but it's really become artificially intelligence focused, or especially over the last probably year or so. So those are the 3 newsletters that I look at on a daily or at least weekly basis. And it's changing so quickly that when I get asked, how do I stay in front of it? 1, I feel like I don't, because every day there's something new. But 2, by reading these, especially, frankly, this AI tool report, I really am able to stay ahead of what's coming down the pike, which is really cool. So if you thought this was insightful, this was season 1, episode 1, and this was the sales piece. We're going to go into customer experience and operations next time. For those of you that are working on your final budgets for 2025, we wanted to bring you some of the operations tools as quickly as possible. And that will be happening November 12th at 11 o'clock Eastern. You will be receiving an email either from your sales rep, or you'll see some things on social media coming up, but absolutely reach out to your sales rep. If you found this valuable, we would love to hear from you. You guys know you can always get a hold of me and Ashley and the entire team here. I have some some resources and takeaways at my little microsite, risingtidementality.com, if you want to connect with us there. But be on the lookout from an email from your sales rep moving forward. We hope you got a lot out of today. Thanks so much for joining us for this first session. And as I look through the chat, what's up, Bernie? Thanks for being here. And Walt, a bunch of good comments and questions. Thank you so much, James and Ben and Lisa. That was very kind. We appreciate you all being there. If there's no other questions, Ashley, thank you so much for joining me. Fantastic job as usual. We hope that by the end of today, and especially by the end of the series, you see that artificial intelligence can be an absolute game changer for you and your team and make 2025 one of our best years yet. Thanks for being here, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.